Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us at lunchtime. Hey, Tinie.
Hey, Kirsty, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you.
You were saying you guys had some sunshine up there north.
We do. I feel like I've had to dig me some clothes back out for the one day.
You guys are lucky. I think we had what you've got today yesterday. So yeah, it's a strange world we're living in at the minute.
I don't think the weather knows what season it is. That's the problem, let alone us. So excited to get started on our new series. So for anyone joining us, this is the first of our weekly lives that we're going to commit to doing, myself and Tinie. And this is going to be an extension of our Thriving in Business podcast that we've got, that if you haven't listened to, go and give it a listen. And this series is going to be all around empowered leadership discussions. And this is going to be just a really informal micro chat around how we can help you become a better leader of your business or your team in the moment. And we're going to really hone in on small little things that we have experience of, we support people with, but also what we're hearing on the ground as we deliver in our leadership academy and accreditation and supporting businesses. So we want to help you become better leaders in the moment. So our Think About It sessions is to do just that, help you think about things differently, think of things from a different perspective. It's just going to be a really informal chat on a very specific topic. But hopefully you'll get lots of nuggets of information and things to help you with your team or your business.
I love where this came from, with us just having kind of like a fireside chat and saying, whoa, wouldn't it be cool if we could just tap into something like this, and then we just created it for ourselves,
absolutely.
which is absolutely brilliant.
Because I think the real nugget of information sometimes is in the general chat, that fireside chat of water cooler moment. And I think sometimes we get to the end of a conversation and go, really wish we'd recorded that because there's so much gold in there. So we are doing that.
So just say it in that way again. Kind of thing. And so today, we're talking about setting and managing expectations today.
We are, and that's a really, really broad topic, and we understand we haven't got the time, and we do delve into real detail on this topic in our academy, but we thought we would just bring a real micro version of setting and managing expectations. So we're going to be talking around the top 2 things we feel that come up time and time again in this area, because it's such a huge topic.
And it's the whole concept about when you walk away from a discussion, you think it's not going to happen. And it's that whole thing about all right, what did I do, or what's going on, or they're not gonna, that's never going to happen, they're not going to do it.
And I think as well, it's like how it's the perspective, isn't it, of what I think I've set clear expectations, until then you get something that you think, oh no, I didn't. Something's going to miss.
I thought they were. I thought they were.
So just as a reminder for everyone watching or listening, if you're listening on the podcast, this will be on YouTube and on LinkedIn for you to go and have a look. This is our first week, this is the only one, but we will build a bank of them. So please feel free to go and explore other topics. So setting and managing expectations. Where are we starting with, Tinie? Where are we going with this conversation?
So let's go right in the beginning. So what are the 2 things that could potentially go wrong, or things that are getting in the way of setting and managing expectations? And the theme today is definitely time and assumptions. And those are the 2 things that happen in day-to-day, whether you're in a corporate world or in a startup business or in a small 3-man band business. It's we don't have time. Can I just come to you and just say, can you just get this over the line for me? And you walk away, and both those things happen. You're pushed for time, you're not having a decent discussion, and you're assuming they can do it. So those are kind of things that happen, and then you walk away and you come back 2 days later, and so where is that? But I thought about this, and what about that, and what if happens if this, and oh no, Kirsty came to me and asked me to do that, so I've had to park yours. So those are things that kind of happen when we do in the moment handing over of just work that needs to be completed.
And I think this comes this is an issue with whether you're a sole trader running a business or part of a multi-billion-dollar organization, right? Because almost that small micro business, they're going to be setting and managing expectations externally. So they might have virtual assistants, they might be employing a marketing agency to build up their team. So we're not just focusing on people that are leading and managing a team. This is any aspect of your business, whether doesn't matter the size of the business or the turnover or the size of the team. Setting and managing expectations filters into every conversation that you're having. And I think you're right. The time and assumption piece is the biggest things that we hear when we are supporting organizations with miscommunication and missed expectations. And I think sometimes just bringing it to awareness and helping people see the alternative or reframe it and see it from a different way, because in the moment, time is money, right? Like we are literally going, I don't have time to slow down and check their every minute of their thinking. And that's not what we're asking you to do. No. But, however, if we don't do something, the other side of it is a lot of wasted effort and time and resource trying to correct that, right? Or step back, or then comes in the difficult conversations.
Yeah. And also when we talk about time, is that do you have time to do it over? And so the onus is on you to actually just slow down for 5 or 10 minutes and have a clear way of how you want to set and manage expectations because you're setting them up for success. As well as, sleeping at night because you know that you've thoroughly explored what needs to happen. And I know we're doing some work with UMI and our own accreditation pieces where we expand a little bit more on that. But if I can just share an example, because it doesn't have to be task orientated. It could also just be someone approaching you. And so this one guy comes to me and says, "Hey, Tienie, oh my goodness, the legal team have kicked back the contract again that I had in front of the client. They've made these changes. Oh my word, I'm tearing my hair out. What can you do for me?" And the second person is, "Hey, Tienie, legal have changed the contract that I'm putting in front of the client. I've got a meeting with them this afternoon. Do you want to be with me in that meeting?" So it's two different people. But it's the same person 3 months later after I've helped them go through the process of, okay, so thank you for passing it on to me. But if you had to do this for yourself, what are some of the areas you'll be exploring? How are you going to have a discussion with them in the legal department so that it doesn't happen again? What are some of the relationships that you've built with them? How are you managing the expectations with your client? What does that communication look like for you? So it's how are we helping folk in the moment actually help us, so it's the whole having that clear discussion and communication about, how can we get better?
Do you know what I see a lot as well, and that stops this happening, and it's coming from a place of the ego of the manager. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but sometimes we have this, well, I've told them, they know their job, I've set their expectations. It's not my fault. They told me that. It's almost going, right, let's strip back all of that and going, where are we taking responsibility for us ensuring as a manager that they understand what we're asking for? And I hear all the time people come in for coaching, and where they want to go is, I've got to have a really difficult conversation with this individual. Okay, tell me more. I asked them to do something and they didn't do it, and they were like so far off the mark and they've really let us down, and I'm like, okay, right? Like all of a sudden it's on the individual, it's all their fault. And when we actually start to explore, what we reveal and uncover is actually the expectation has been made on assumption, and that's on the assumption of the manager and the leader. But there's not, and it takes a while for people to recognize their areas of responsibility in missed expectations. And that's because of that ego piece of, it's that element of power of, well, I've told them to do it, they should have done it. And I understand that sometimes in leadership, the house is on fire and we've got to tell people, and I get that, but not all the time. And we need to also recognize the responsibility of what the part we played in that missed expectation. And that's a massive, massive part of what people come to me for when they're talking about their staff not doing as they should have, or them having to have difficult conversations. It isn't always actually what they think it is.
No, exactly. And building on the assumption piece, and then as soon as we start pointing a finger at someone, there's three pointing back at us. And from that perspective, we need to go to self first, or go to source. And so when we're asking someone to do something, or when we take the problem from some of our peers or people in our team, we're saying yes to that. We're taking the responsibility on of, okay, yes, let me go and sort legal out for you. So, and then we say, but I don't have time to do the other stuff, and I'm being drained with all this stuff. Instead of teaching other people to set and manage expectations, and grow and move potentially from a intermediate into an advanced communicator or collaborator, in the dynamo of life, where everything happens. But it is the whole thing about staying calm, getting a clear perspective of understanding of what people are looking for from that expectation, and letting them give you an idea of how they're going to solve for it, so that you've got some kind of measure of where you feel their skill sets and those kind of things sit.
So let's play devil's advocate, right? Because the people listening will be going, shouting at the speakers, going, that's great in an ideal world, right? Like, perfect if we've got the time. But and this is really important for us, isn't it? Like, the practicalities of leading is really important. And how do we build this in? So if someone's sitting shouting because we've been in positions of management and we've kind of experienced this as well, of like, but I haven't got the time. I just need them to get done. Like, time is money. What would you say to those people?
At your peril, you can set and manage expectations in 3 minutes. And it's the price of not doing that where you will need to do it over for 30 minutes. And for me, there is no interest in having to do it over for 30 minutes. So there are models that we introduce. There are things that we do from how do we have a setting and managing expectations discussion? How do we explore those things? It takes 3 minutes. And within those 3 minutes, you have a clear understanding of an exchange of ideas that you have of understanding, skill set, things that get in their way, those kind of things in that discussion. And then it becomes a collaborative discussion, because it doesn't have to be a combative thing. It's me and you exchanging ideas in a peaceful manner before the house is on fire.
And it's part of everyday management, isn't it? Like, this is something that this is something that you should be doing as you're setting and managing any task, any kind of building any kind of team up. It's understand, how do you communicate as a manager what you want that person to do in an empowering way, and they're going to understand it and receive the message and deliver to the level you want without it being combative all the time, because we all around moving forward with the style of leadership and stepping away from that archaic dictator directive. And whilst there is need for that sometimes, like we've said, actually, if we do move to a collaborative, it becomes almost second nature as part of your culture. And I think for those listening thinking, I find myself having to have those difficult conversations, or having those kind of meetings that go, this isn't what I expected, this isn't what I asked for. Actually, just taking those 3 minutes up front and doing it. Like, what do we do in those 3 minutes? We ask questions. What's your understanding? We get feedback. Are you clear on what you want to be doing? What are the challenges that you're going to face? Like, do you need any support? Like, what is their level of skill around this topic and their ability? Like, taking a coaching approach in the moment, you're going to very quickly understand their level of ability to deliver to the level of what you want and to actually get what you've asked for. And like you say, that can be very, very in the moment quick. that you can gain that, but it requires you to just slow and take a beat. And that's all it is. It's a minute.
Yeah.
It's a beat,
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So our mission of making the world of work better is orientating towards the collaborative interactions that we have, a coaching approach, and moving people from compliant to commit. And the more it becomes a combative discussion that we're having with someone, the more they pull back and, oh, I'm going to tap out of this. I'm not going to actually get involved. And then delivers mediocre output. And with any work that gets delivered to you, it's always a two-way street. It's how have you set and managed expectations with those people from a collaborative, inclusive, let's get this together, let's do this together way, versus it was off the cuff. I didn't really give them the time they needed. I just want them to go. Disrespectful.
Yeah.
And so let's give the severity of the task the respect it needs, with both of us having a collaborative discussion about what it is that needs to happen. Yes, you're the person that's going to be doing the work. I'm here to support you because I've got other things that I need to get on with. And spend the time in getting that done properly for 3 minutes, 5 minutes even, so that we don't spend half a day resetting expectations, giving someone a performance management conversation, and redoing the work. All of that stuff compounds the time that you would have saved in the front end by setting and managing expectations properly.
And that's it, because when it goes wrong, it can go really wrong, can't it? Or when it goes wrong, the biggest thing for me is like I said before, that person who set them doesn't take responsibility for not setting it correctly and puts the responsibility of it not working out on the individual. And how empowering is that? Not at all, right? No. We're going, I'm not going to give you what you need, and then I'm going to have a go at you for not delivering what you haven't read my mind to deliver.
Exactly.
And we see this all the time, and especially when people are accidental managers, when people haven't been given, and I almost call it this like overnight imaginary skill set, right? Like, you're really great at your job, Tienie. I'm going to promote you to manage the team. Awesome. See you on Monday. That's it.
Yes.
Right?
And there's 7 people that are reporting into you, ready, steady, go.
And if you could just create really high performing teams that deliver like you did when you did the job, that'd be smashing, right?
That'd be lovely. Yeah.
Then that's where the problem is, right? Because these people are awesome at their jobs. And we all know managing people is a completely different skill set. Empowering people is a completely different skill set. And we see it time and time again that people are getting a bad rep for not being able to manage teams, but actually we haven't invested the time and effort and money into giving them the skills to become those managers and leaders that we expect of them, that they've magically gone through some kind of academy training over the weekend from 5 o'clock on a Friday till 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, and off they go, right? And that's where we see people lose talent. That's where we see people get on performance management paths that we don't want. And all of this is time and effort and money to sort out at the other side. Whereas actually, if we just recognize that need for giving people the skill and upskilling them, we could potentially stop that happening down the line. And we empowering our people, right? We inspiring them, we empowering them.
So, it feels a little bit like we're giving the manager a hard time, and it's not at all. The nice thing about the setting and managing expectations piece is you can reverse engineer. So if someone comes to you, hey, Tienie, I just want you to get this over the line. Could you just email it to me on Monday morning? Whoa, Kirsty, thank you. For me to get this 100% right for you, I just need a little bit more detail. Could we just step and slow it down a little bit for ourselves so that we get this right for you? So it's also your responsibility as the receiver of the work that needs to be done to just slow things down a little bit, and then also set and manage expectations with your boss. Because they want you to get it 100% right for them.
Yeah.
They want you to succeed in that, and slowing them down. Yeah, no, but I'm on the way to a meeting. Okay, well, I'm not going to do anything about it, and let's talk about this when you come out of your meeting, so that I just get clarity on what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So it's that whole being respectful of the task. And of the interaction between people, of sharing the knowledge and information that makes it a successful outcome.
Absolutely. And I think having the time to articulate what that is and make sure both parties or all parties are very clear from the off, and that doesn't have to be a huge amount of time and effort. It's just a way of setting expectations and a way of managing them. So for those that are listening, I think some real key takeaways that if you are in a position where you're setting and managing expectations, whether that's in your own business, in your team, with your manager, or with third parties in your small and micro business, some real key takeaways for me from what our conversation is slow down, ask questions to ensure people understand, and I think take responsibility for setting expectations clearly, but also take a level of responsibility if it does go wrong, and take a reflective approach of what could you have done differently to help this have a better outcome, and just make sure that you're collaborative in your approach. Anything else that you think we've taken away?
I think the other piece is the assumption, and articulate the assumption. I assume that you are a master in this field and therefore will deliver a masterpiece of work. Or I know this is something new for you as part of our graduate scheme. Give me an idea of how you feel comfortable in doing this. I mean, what experience have you got around this? So it's articulate your assumption of skill set.
Yeah.
And have a conversation around that so that there's clarity in that space as well.
Yeah. And this will also feed into the person that's in front of you. You'll become to know them. You'll know your expectations. You'll know how far to push them. You'll know their level of skill. But sometimes just asking a question or vocalizing what's going on helps any misunderstanding and missed expectation.
Exactly.
Fabulous. Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of our session for this week, which has been a fabulous discussion. Just a couple of things before we end for today. Next week, we're going to talk about leading with clarity and intention, which is like my favorite topic. I say intention 100 times a day. So please come back and join us the same time, Thursday at lunchtime. Please spare 20 minutes, half an hour to come and join us. And as Tienie mentioned briefly before, we are partnering with Umi again to run for the third time our small and micro business group coaching program called Go Further. And this is for any small and micro business. It's a 6-month program to come and get access to some really impactful coaching to help them grow into the next phase of the business. And we work with you to gain clarity, set your vision, hold you accountable, help you put those actions in place to achieve whatever goals it is. So if that's something that you are interested in, head over to our LinkedIn page. There is lots of information about that at the moment. We start mid-October. So if you want to have a chat, please feel free to reach out, and we'll leave it there for this week. So thank you so much for coming to join us. Thank you, Tienie, for the lovely conversation, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Kirsty. And yes, look us up on LinkedIn and connect with us. We'd love to hear some feedback and just interact.